welcome to Crim 2 Plus. We've got Mike Boyle here. We're going to get a little bit of a season preview for the Spokane Chiefs. It's really exciting. Hockey season is back. Best time of the year.
I tell you, it came quick. I'll tell you that. You know, we just got done with baseball Sunday before last, and already thinking about getting on the bus to head to Kelowna to open up the season. The offseason was awful short.
For sure.
The Chiefs made a heck of a run last year, got to the championship series.
Man, it was
First
fun.
time they've done that since 2008. And, they took on a very formidable Medicine Hat club that was very good. Fell a little short in their goal, but, they're right back. And I expect this club to be every bit as exciting, every bit as good as they were last year.
That's fantastic to hear, definitely. So my first question is, like you said, they're coming off one of the most successful seasons that they've had in a long time. Yeah. Can you just tell us who's back, who's gone? Like, what's the team going to look like this year compared to what it was last year?
Well, I mean, there's definitely going to be some changes, and there is in junior hockey. You're allowed to carry 3 20-year-olds, or overagers as they're called. They've graduated, and there were 3 very good ones. And you start with Andrew Crystal, who was the leading scorer in the Western Hockey League with his trade from Kelowna at the trade deadline last January. I mean, he was a huge difference maker. It was the trade of the trade deadline, in fact. And, he's going to be gone. He's going to be in the Washington Capitals system, playing either for Hershey in the American Hockey League or at the NHL level with the Capitals. Shea Van Olm graduated as a 20. He's now playing at Penn State University, and he'll be playing with Gavin McKenna, who was the superstar from Medicine Hat, who many expect to be the #1 pick in the NHL draft this upcoming year. And as Braden Crampton, 20-year-old defenseman, graduated. He's at Bowling Green University, so he'll be playing NCAA hockey this year. So those 3 are for sure gone. Sage Weinstein is a 20-year-old this year. He's eligible to be back for Spokane, but he's been signed by the Colorado Avalanche.
Oh, okay.
And so the chances of him being back are extremely slim. Colorado's already indicated that they want him to be playing within their system.
Yeah.
So that means either playing the Colorado Eagles in the American Hockey League or playing in the ECHL.
Okay.
So he'll be playing one or the other come this next year. So we probably will not see him. I mean, it'll really be a wild outside circumstance that happens.
Can you explain that a little bit? So I know it has to do with ages, but when can a player go from the WHL into like the AHL for an NHL team?
Well, they can play at the NHL level at any time. So they're drafted when they're 18. The NHL club has their rights for 2 years. So through their 19 and into their 20-year-old season, they have their rights to sign them to a deal and figure out what they want to do with them. Like Berkeley Catton's a 19-year-old. So Berkeley can play one of 2 places. He can play either with the Seattle Kraken at the National Hockey League level or with the Chiefs at the major junior level. He can't play at the American Hockey League or ECHL.
Because he's only 19.
He's only 19.
Okay.
Right. Now, once you're 20, you can go up and start playing at the AHL or the ECHL, which is why we won't see Andrew Crystal, why we probably won't see Sage Weinstein. Yeah. I mean, they're 20-year-olds. They're going to be pursuing their careers professionally. So you're going to be without those guys. Dawson Cowan, who was such a force in net for the Chiefs last year, he has gone the NCAA route as well. He's a 20-year-old this year. It was kind of iffy whether he would be back going professionally or going NCAA. He went NCAA. He's playing at Nebraska Omaha. So Chiefs going to have to fill some holes. There's no question. They've got some places that they've got to fill. But I really feel good about their young talent, and they've got a lot of kids coming up and a lot of guys back from last year that I think are going to make this club every bit as good as they were last year.
That's super exciting to hear, definitely. So let's talk a little bit more about Burke. He's playing really well in the rookie camp for the Kraken.
Yep.
What are the odds that he gets some run at the NHL level, or do you think he's going to be back in Spokane?
Well, last year he was back early. Seattle unilaterally went right across the board with all their draft picks and sent them back, like by the end of September.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen this year.
Okay.
With Berkeley, they're going to give him a look. I know Berkeley's goal is obviously to play at the NHL level. That's what he's striving towards.
Yep.
So he's going to make every effort he can to make it there. Now, Seattle has to ask themselves, will he be able to contribute on a nightly basis and help our club at 19?
Yep.
And that's a lot to ask. My personal feeling is that I think he will be back, but not until after his trial. Now, the NHL, they have what's called a 10-game trial that they can decide within that amount of time, playing them 10 games. Not 10 games of the schedule, but playing them 10 games.
Yes. So it could be 20 games, but if they're only playing in those, okay.
Free agency on a contract starts in year one when they play 10 or more games.
I got you. So it's imperative for the club that they don't go too many.
Burn that off.
Yep.
I mean, you know, they can sit there and only play him 15, 20 games, but if they end up sending him back to junior, now you've burned off a year of his free agency. Now you only got 2 years left. So clubs are very careful about that. They kind of learned the lesson with Shane Wright, too. And there's some background there that the Kraken are going to be leaning on and saying, you know what, hey, we made a mistake with Shane bringing him up too quickly. So I think they're going to be pretty careful with Berkeley, but they're certainly going to give him the opportunity, and he deserves that. And I would imagine that if we do see Berkeley back, and he doesn't light the world on fire, and they decide to send him back, it's not going to be probably until late October, maybe early November that we see him. And keep in mind, once he's back, he's going to leave early December to play for Canada in the World Junior Tournament over Christmas. So he'll be gone another month from early December until early January. So there's a very good chance that we may not get full-time Berkeley Catton until after the beginning of the year.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Let's go back and talk about that top line from last year. By far the best in the WHL.
Yep.
We're talking about Andrew Crystal, Shaven Ohm, Berkeley Catton. I went back and looked at the stats. In the regular season, they tallied 333 points. It's almost laughable. Like,
yes.
It's so good. So my question is, where do they go to find that offense?
Well, that's a good question, because I think a lot of people had that question going into last year and the year before. It's like, oh, we had these guys and they put up all these points. What are we going to do? I think they've got some fine candidates that are ready. And I start with Mathis Preston. He's just going to be 17. He's entering his draft year. So there's a lot for him that's on the plate. I think he's a guy that's going to take that next step in his game, even though he was outstanding as a 16-year-old, better than most 18s. But I think he's going to step up this year as a 17, where I think scoring 35, 40 goals is very reasonable for him.
Yeah, you can kind of see that in the postseason. I would imagine at 16, it's too big for some people, and for him, he was natural. It just looked almost effortless.
Yeah, he's one of those special players that the Chiefs were pretty astute to get him third overall. I mean, I look at him and just go, how was he not first overall? Because he has just got a wicked shot, great hands, understands how to play offensively. Defensively has been a work in progress for him, as it is with just about every 16-year-old. But he's going to be better in that regard this year as well. I look at Chase Harrington. Funny thing for Chase, he's just going to be 18 this year. I know, it feels like he's been here forever.
It does.
And he's going to, I think, take another big step. And of course, Owen Martin, who's away at NHL camp, he's one of 7 guys from the Chiefs that are gone right now. Owen, I think, is going to be a big-time player. He battled through injury last year. He was hurt much of the year. And I don't think people understood, the degree that he went through.
Absolutely.
But once he got healthy, late in the regular season and then in the playoffs, he showed why he was a 3rd-round pick of Winnipeg or 5th-round pick of Winnipeg. He was outstanding down the stretch, and probably next to Catton, the best centerman on the club.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's going to be great if we get Berkeley back. You got Berkeley on the top line, Owen Martin on the second line centering. That's pretty 2 good lines right there. I really like our depth, with young guys coming up as well. It's going to be a fun group to watch, and I think the toughest thing for the coaches is deciding who's going to play.
That's a good problem to have, though.
It is.
When you got talent, you got to figure that out.
That's exactly right. I mean, you're going to be looking at this early part of the regular season schedule, and people are going to try to decide, okay, who's going to be that 12th, 13th, 14th forward on the roster. That, to me, is going to be the great, intriguing question mark going forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you've talked about it a little bit. The Chiefs do have depth. We've got, I think you said 7 players in NHL camp. So, I mean, they're going to be without him for a few games. When can they expect guys like, you've talked about Owen Martin, Sarkey, Nathan Mays. When are those guys
and Will McIsaac, going down the list. It's usually with those guys, they start in rookie camps. and then they show whether they're going to be put in main camp or not. I think that's going to be something to keep our eye on, is that, okay, who's going to get the opportunities to go to main camp? Obviously, you go to main camp, they're going to be there longer and be away. In the case of Sarkey, I think, it's going to be interesting to see what transpires there, because he's not drafted. He's a free agent. But if he impresses like Sage Weinstein did, who was a free agent, never got drafted, he may impress enough to where they take him from, the development to rookie camp to main camp. And if he impresses enough, they'll sign him.
Okay.
So that's going to be interesting to see how Sarkey does. Will McIsaac, Nathan Mays, obviously I think they're going to go to main camp. I think that they're going to be guys that are going to get a good look. Because you're talking about Mays 19 now, Willie's a 19 now, so they're in their next to last years. So I think they're going to get good looks from both St. Louis and Toronto. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I always look forward to seeing how guys go through that process and progress as a player.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of guys I've seen over the years that have come back from camp different players and better players.
Yeah, definitely. Where did the Chiefs go for that physicality if Nathan Mays doesn't come back?
Well, they got some big boys back there. Bryson Roberts has impressed me. His older brother Colton is a D-man with the Vancouver Giants, and a very good one. I liked Bryson last year when he came up and played a couple of games for us, and I think he's going to be a factor early in the year. He's probably going to see some playing time as well. That's going to help out while the Chiefs are a little shorthanded on the blue line in the first couple of weeks of the regular season. I think that they'll be just fine in that department. I'm looking for some advancement from Rhett Sather this year. He was with us all of last year. Caden Allen is another one. Caden can be a very physical blue liner that can go back there, whereas Rhett more of a puck mover, more of a offensive defenseman, as it were. But, they're two guys that I think are going to look to take that next step from being 16s to 17s. And there's nothing tougher for me than being a 16-year-old defenseman in the Western League, because, and they saw a lot of playing time last year. So they got a lot of experience back, and I think they're going to be so much better for it this year.
Just as a fan watching, we've talked about it, they didn't struggle offensively.
No.
But when it seemed like when things for the Chiefs kind of got into a lull, somebody like a Nathan Mays, even like a Coco, they'd throw a hit and it just like instantly sparked, and they'd go down and they'd score. So it'll be fun to watch, like who kind of takes that up. And
yeah, it's good to see Coco back. I mean, you talk about a kid that's had to battle through injuries through his career. He had a big injury 2 years ago with his shoulder that knocked him out for almost half a season. And, he went through some minor injuries last year as well. Started off this year with ankle injury, and it's just like, man, just can't catch a break. But he's a kid that I think is going to be a key factor for this team because of his ability to physically get in on the forecheck. He is such a good forechecker for this club. And that's where everything starts with them offensively. They've got to win battles on the low walls and work the puck from low to high, and he's a big part of that. I think that, he stays healthy this year for Spokane, he's going to have a huge year.
Yeah, he's one of those players, I always say, you love them on your team, but when you got to play them, man, they're frustrating. They win those puck battles that they shouldn't necessarily win, and they just make stuff happen.
He's a pest. Yes. I mean, he's a major pest, and guys don't like playing against him, and you can tell that. But at the same time, he's an invaluable part for this club, and his penalty kill ability is excellent. He is such a good penalty killer.
He's fearless.
And the Chiefs were tops in the league in the penalty kill and power play last year. So number 1 power play, number 3 penalty kill. So you're going to have those guys back and lead those special teams, because they're such a big integral part of your success.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about goaltending. So you talked about Dawson, 34 wins in the regular season, had a .905 save percentage. He's opted to go to the NCAA route, just like you said. Is this Carter Essler's job, or are they bringing somebody else in to?
Well, Linus Veerd from Germany, 19-year-old, that was Germany's goaltender in World Junior last year, was taken by the Chiefs in the import draft. And, it's going to be a battle between Linus and Carter. I think, honestly, that it's Linus's to start, but when I say that, I think they're going to alternate games.
Okay.
I think, you'll see, like this weekend, you'll see Linus one game, Carter another, and it's going to alternate from that early part of the season. And how they perform in the first half of the year, like when we take the Central Division trip in October, we're playing 6 games in 10 days.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big part where you're going to see guys alternating in games and see how they do.
Yeah.
And who steps up and who plays better is going to end up probably seeing more of the playing time. The nice thing for Carter is that, as much as he wants the job, at 17, you don't have to rush him into
Absolutely.
it. You can guide him in, and he'll see more playing time than he did last year under Dawson, because Dawson was just like a games eater. I mean, he was so good, especially early on. I think that this will really benefit Carter to not have everything thrown on him as a 17. And you've got Linus there, and they can, battle it out, and the best man will win.
Yeah. So Carter didn't see a ton of play time in the postseason last year,
Right.
but what do you think that run does for him? Like, does that, I mean, realistically for all the Chiefs, to see that, to see the pressure, to see, TSN's there and the games are all over Canada, what does that do for those guys?
Well, there's no question that the experience is invaluable. You can't recreate it. For them to see what it takes to get there and succeed, you can't teach.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to go through the experience. So I have no doubt that the guys that went through it last year are going to be better and know, hey, look, this is what we need to do better this year. This is what we need to focus on to improve our games, to get us to the next step. We got to look at what Medicine Hat did against us last year and go, okay, that's the kind of club we need to become. I think they got a valuable experience from it. You mentioned Carter. Didn't see a lot of time in the playoffs. He had to come in when Dawson suffered an injury before a game against Victoria. Where he took one off the face, and it's just like, well, hey, last minute you're thrown in there, and I thought he did fine. There's no question, he learned from that.
Absolutely.
Learned, watching Dawson and watching how he prepared and got ready, that, Carter, he's had experience as well. He was the goaltender, for Canada in the Hlinka Gretzky Cup and helped Canada in that tournament to a bronze medal. So, he's been through some big tournaments. He's been the guy on Canada's national team. I think he'll be just fine.
I got a couple more.
Okay.
So we've talked about the NCAA, people going that route. What are the rule changes that they've recently implemented? How is that going to impact the WHL? I mean, we've seen guys, Shea Van Olm was, like you said, he was able to go to Penn State. Gavin McKenna, arguably the number 1 pick this year. He opted to go that route. What is that going to do to the WHL?
Well, it's a work in progress. It's a very fluid situation. You've got schools that are throwing out major NIL money, name, image, likeness money, that has become the watchword in NCAA sports now. Most people associate it with the big-time revenue sports of football and men's basketball. Well, what you're seeing is that big universities, and we're talking Big Ten when it comes to hockey, they've been able to allocate funds from the general fund towards hockey and get some of these guys. I mean, they can sit there and go to somebody and say, hey, look, you agree to come play with us, we'll send you $1 million of NIL money, $250,000 a year to play hockey and get an education paid for.
Hard to turn down.
That is extremely difficult to turn down. And so the CHL, of which, the Chiefs are part of the Western Hockey League, one of the 3 major leagues of the CHL, they were giving out passes, allowing NCAA coaches to come in and scout with passes last year. That has ended.
Yeah.
I mean, they've basically said, we're getting zero benefit and we're just getting
all of our guys,
losing guys right and left. And Victoria, a classic example, who the Chiefs beat in the second round last year. I mean, they got gutted. Yeah. I mean, Cole Bereshny, who's their top player, and Keaton Verhoff, who's their top defenseman.
Yeah.
Gone to the NCAA. So you're going to see clubs, I think, buckle down as far as allowing, people to scout and see them. The other thing too is that, okay, what does the CHL offer in comparison to what the NCAA is offering? Obviously, you're not going to be able to offer a kid $250,000 to go play for you. So what do you have to offer besides that? And I think the big thing for the WHL is like, hey, instead of playing 3 games a week like you will in the NCAA, you're going to play 4 or 5 games sometimes. You're going to travel like a pro. It's going to be a pro type of training that you're going to go through, much more than the NCAA. So I think if you're wanting to be an NHL player, that the CHL is the route for you.
Absolutely.
And I think what you're going to see is that the younger guys are going to be more emphasized, because the 16s, 17s, and 18s now have to be bigger parts of your club, because you may not have the 19s or 20s because they may be off to the NCAA. You have to plan that, okay, we're probably going to lose some older guys because of that. So your 16 to 18s are going to be even more important in how they develop and what they contribute. So I think that's what you're going to see in the near future. What it pans out in the long term, that's above my pay grade. I mean, I couldn't tell you what the answer is as far as what the CHL does to combat the NCAA NIL money, and maybe the NIL changes completely from what we're seeing today. We don't know. We just don't know. So that's just something it's, as I said, a fluid situation that's going to continue to develop.
That makes sense. All right, let's finish with this one. You talked about the depth of the Chiefs team this year. What do you think their ceiling is? Do you think it's playoffs? Do you think it's a playoff series win? Can they make it as far? Or is it one of those where we just got to wait and see?
Well, obviously, the guys that put together the CHL Top 10 poll think the Chiefs are the best team in the league. I mean, they just came out with the poll this past week, and they had them number 3 in all the CHL. So, I mean, you get teams from the Quebec and Ontario leagues that, a couple teams higher, but that's it. The top Western team is the Chiefs. Only 3 teams from the Western League that were ranked. Edmonton was 6th, and Kelowna is hosting Memorial Cup, and who the Chiefs are opening with are number 9.
Okay.
So a lot of people are thinking that Spokane's a team to beat, and I can see that. They've got so many guys back, 10 forwards and 6D, and you got goaltender and Essler back. I mean, that's a lot of experience back from a team that lost in the championship last year. So I would think, with the young talent coming up as well, the newcomers, that this club, for me, should make a run to the finals again. I mean, that's just
to hear that as a fan.
That's just my opinion on it. When I look at what the other clubs have in the league, I mean, I would be surprised if the Chiefs don't at least make the conference finals, one of the Final 4 teams. I would be extremely surprised if that's the case. But I think this club can get right back to the Western Hockey League final. I think the toughest competition is going to come from their own division, as it usually does.
It does, exactly.
And so, you look at Everett, who had the best record in the league last year. They got a lot of guys back. Portland, they didn't expect to get to the Western final last year, and yet they did. They've got guys coming back. So Seattle is definitely on the upswing and getting better. Tri-City is Tri-City. I mean, they're always going to be there, and they're always going to play the Chiefs tough. Always, doesn't matter what level of talent you're talking. I mean, I just remember last year that there were times where, the Chiefs went in and just got kicked by them. And it's such a great rivalry that there's no question that, they bring out the best in each other. So, and then you got Wenatchee, who, Don Nachbar, former Chiefs head coach in Wenatchee, they're building a young program and getting better in that respect. And they're always tough to play against. Boy, they played the Chiefs tough in some games last year. That was just like, man, absolute wars. And the Chiefs blew a 3-goal lead in Wenatchee in a game last year. So, I mean, you can't count them out. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go in the division this year. Obviously, with Penticton coming in, new club in the BC division, that means less games within the U.S. as far as the schedule is concerned, because you're playing Penticton 4 times. Going to be interested to see how that works.
Yeah.
You know, we go from playing Tri-City 10 times to 8 times.
Okay.
We go from playing Wenatchee 8 times to 6 times.
Okay.
So, you know, we're losing games in that respect, but you're basically seeing most of the division 6 times with the exception of Tri, which is 8, which is the fewest that I've ever seen in my time in the league.
Absolutely.
And I can remember Tri-City was a 12-game series every year, and you played
so many games against one team.
Exactly, and rotating, you know, the other clubs to play 10, and then the rest were 8. Well, now that's down to 6. So it's going to be important for the Chiefs to be able to play well against teams outside of their division because there's going to be more emphasis on that. But there's a lot to look forward to. I really like the makeup of this team. I got to watch them through camp. I watched their exhibition game against Portland at the arena. I really like what I see from this bunch. There's a lot of good players, and I would highly encourage people to get out and see them because tickets are going to go fast in some games.
For sure. No, that's great. Well, Mike, I can't thank you enough for joining us. It's been really fun talking about the Chiefs, and sounds like it's going to be an awesome season.
I think it will be. I think it will be. I say get on out there and get your tickets now, folks.
Heck yeah. Thank you so much.
You bet.